But I remember being in a pool full of sweat one morning and like wrestling with this, like, how do I detach myself from that identity? And it was this moment of, well, hold on a second, man. If you can inspire people to have a great night, well, what if I started to inspire people to have a great life? So that was when I started to realize that energy was currency. I am all in on the idea that your environment will either encourage you to succeed or tempt you to fail. That's where the title of this book came from, because I convinced myself, man, I want to do this thing, but like changing my friend group is probably going to be hard. Changing my weekend habits is going to be hard. All of that is going to be uncomfortable. Yeah. But then I kind of had this aha moment of, dude, you're already uncomfortable now. This book will work if you are willing to be brutally honest with yourself. But at the same point, like if you are looking for the easy way out, or like you are just dead set on keeping your excuses, this book is probably not.
All right, what is going on, everybody? On this show, welcome back. We are unpacking the real inflection points that shape people and their businesses, whether that's the constraints, the tough decisions, pivotal relationships that kind of unlock their next level of growth, profit, clarity. Ultimately, my goal at the end of the day, I always say, is to uncover what's often overlooked from the outside. I feel like people always see, this success or this vision, and I'm always like, I know there's more that went into that, and I kind of try to just peel that onion layer back and really unpack some of that stuff. So today we have my dear friend Brett as a guest, and he is a husband, soon-to-be father. Congrats, man. Keynote speaker, an author with a new book, which is called Uncomfortable Either Way, which I'm sure going to talk a little bit about, which is out September 9th. And honestly, just an all-around good freaking dude. Man, I got to tell you, so we met at your house, I don't know, some months back. And, there's like people like you connect with and you interact with on a daily basis. And sometimes energies just vibe. And it was a pretty short period of time, but the interaction stuck with me. Like your kind of presence and authenticity when we talk stuck with me. And I want to just make an effort to like keep in touch. We had a couple calls, and I just want to say I really appreciate the vibe that you put out there, how welcoming you were, not just at your house, but overall. Like I see the way you carry yourself, the different things as I followed along your journey, and I just want to say it's been a really cool inspiration, and I hope you know that you might interact with people just gently, but it can turn into a friendship, and it can actually impact them in a certain way. So I just want to start off, say I appreciate you, and I'm super stoked for this convo, man.
Sean, thank you, man. I really appreciate being here, and I'll reflect that right back to you. And funny enough, when you're in a setting like that where people were there for mostly business and conversation, dinner and all that, I find it fascinating what people connect over. And we connected over, first of all, you were the fittest guy there. Second, and I was like, okay, I like this guy already. I know something about him. And then we connected over talking about volleyball and basketball and like playing sports and stuff. So I throw that out there there's always something deeper to connect on. And even when it's business, and I think there's a reason why so many guys play golf all the time. And there's a connection, and you can also talk business and growth and all that. So yeah, right back at you, man. I appreciate it.
It's funny. I feel like I don't know, business get-togethers or like networking events, whatever they might be. It's like there's, oftentimes the default's like, so like, what do you do, whatever. And I don't know. It's always interesting to just like when that isn't the first topic of conversation that you have, right? And sometimes like leaving conversation being like, I don't even know what this person does for business, but like yes, that's a reflection of who a human is, but there's just all sorts of other random shit that you can kind of like talk about.
Yes.
And which, speaking of which, I think, I don't know if I know the answer, but the first thing I'm interested in hearing about is like today, and I always ask people this, there's all sorts of things going on, you're excited about stuff. What's like, what in your day right now, in your life right now, are you most excited for?
I am most excited for, the book is a huge career legacy thing for me, and it's spent so much time, and it's probably the thing that I'm most proud of in my career, because it's taken so much time. It's taken 2 years. I've put everything that kind of I learned in my life up until this point to a certain point into a book, and I've spent so much time trying to make it actionable. And I even joke sometimes when I'm on stage that I'm probably not a good motivational speaker, but I'm a great momentum speaker, or at least I want to be a great momentum speaker, meaning I'm all about trying to get people to take action. And I've been the person who's consumed all the books. I've been the person who has consumed all the videos, and they don't really mean that much if you don't take any action off of it. If you listen to it and you're like, oh, that's amazing, and then scroll on the next thing and you're off to the next and you don't do anything, it doesn't really change your life. So I've really tried to make this book very actionable and very easy to follow. And no matter where you are, what phase of life, you can take action in it. The other thing I'm really excited about right now is that we're expecting our first child in December.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
while a lot of for the men out there who maybe have had their first child or expecting their first child or want to have their first child, I kind of feel like I'm in limbo. Like there's only so much to do. Like we needed to get a new car that they could fit the car seat in the back, and we needed to, we're changing one of our rooms over. But like my wife is changing by the day, and I kind of feel like nothing's changed today. Like I'm still waiting. I'm still excited, but. So there's been that piece too. That is very much an exciting time. And while December feels very far away, it also feels like it's coming. Very quickly.
Yeah. It's. I mean, those are two very. Those hit on two of the most like impactful things of life, right? Like career is obviously big for everyone, and then family, your passing on your DNA, right? All that stuff is a major, especially being the first one. So it's. I mean, look, I think I take a step back and I'm like, it's good to have multiple things to be like super excited about, right? I'm curious for the book you mentioned, the focus on like making things actionable. What do you like? Because I align with this, and I've read many of the books, and I know plenty of people who've probably read far more than me. And you can kind of regurgitate the information, and then there's the people who do something with it and don't. Where do you feel like that that line is from being able to say, oh wow, this is awesome information, I have this as a tool in my tool belt, versus like I'm actually going to use this tool and actually like do something with it? Like what causes somebody to like turn?
Great question. And when writing this book, I tried to ask myself of the questions of all the books that I've read, why did I like a book but not take action on it? And why did I really like this book and do almost everything in there? And I tried to put myself in the reader's seat of how can I make this book readable? Because it's like as much as I wanted to put all photos and pictures in it, like there needs to be some quality in here. But I also said, I also struggle to finish books. So I'm like, how do I get somebody to the finish line? And how can I also make this book? One of my favorite books of all times is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I don't just love that book because it was helpful. I love that book because I can see it on my shelf, open it up, flip to basically any page, and it's applicable to wherever I am in life.
Interesting. Yeah.
I could have read it in January, and now, again, life is so different. We're expecting a child. Like the book is coming out. My priorities, my day-to-day, my schedule, my habits might look different today. So that's what I love about it. So when I was writing this, there was a lot of how do I first get the reader to not have to wait to the end to get all of the action. I didn't want to set everybody up with stories. And like at the very end is I'm going to tell you the solution. This whole book is basically like solution. But it's written in a way where there's, in every chapter, there is an uncomfortable truth that I call people out on. There's also a calling bullshit that I call everybody out on also. So there's two of those in every chapter. But at the end of every chapter, there are two action items. One that you can do within 30 seconds before you flip the page. It might just be, I want you to ask yourself this question. I want you to sit with this. I want you to set an alarm on your phone. It might just be something that takes 30 seconds. The second one is something you can do within 24 hours. So the whole book is in these bite-sized chunks. There's 21 chapters, so you're gonna get some of that along the way. But my whole goal is I believe that somebody will keep reading once they feel momentum. And it was the same when I was in the fitness industry. It's the same as like if somebody is listening to me speak on stage, they'll keep listening if they feel like, hey, I'm actually picking up what he's putting down. Like I like this. He's not making me wait to the end.
Interesting. It is now for you, do you feel like was this energy always core to who you were, or was there a point in time where you feel like you were less of an action taker? Or were you always an action taker?
No, I was. So my life has been very, like there's been a dichotomy to my life because in sports, I would do whatever you said. You said run 5, I'd want to run 7. If I always felt like I overexceeded expectations in that area, and I wanted to. I felt like I loved to do the extra work. But then I got in this phase of life when I was in my 20s. And if you ask me if I regret this time, I'm going to actually say no, because I just had so much fun. I had a ton of fun in my 20s. I had great time with my boys. Like we did it all. And I don't look back on that wanting to change it, because I believe that that's one of those phases of life where it wouldn't be the same now. If I were like, oh, let's go do all those things we didn't do, it just wouldn't be the same. Like for one, I know too much. I'm probably a little smarter than I was back then. But there's pieces of that I wouldn't trade. However, in my 20s, I had always felt like there was this potential inside of me. And I always, weirdly enough, thought that I was destined for something great. I always thought that I'm going to be one of those guys that was something great. Did you ever watch the show Entourage on HBO?
So I haven't. I've seen like a couple episodes, but I was never somebody that like really got into it.
It was huge during my college.
Okay.
Like we'd all get together and watch it. But if you haven't watched it, it's basically this group of guys from New York. One guy gets famous becoming an actor. They all move out to LA, and like they all basically kind of have multiple jobs based upon this guy. And it's like the entourage, the whole crew. It's based off of Mark Wahlberg's life and career. We'd watch that, and I was like, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to be Vinny Chase. And I didn't think it was going to be acting, but I was like, I'm not going to be the driver. Like, and I'm not going to be the guy who like picks up the groceries. Like, I'm going to be the guy. And I don't know how yet, but I always felt like I'm going to change the path for my crew here. But with that being said, I was also the guy that was like, oh man, I'm going to do this, this, and this, or I feel like I can do this, but like, this weekend I'll, not this weekend, I'll go this, and then complain about another week, and then, next weekend, we're going out again. Okay, we'll do the same thing. And it was just on repeat for so long. And I remember finally, it was two things. It was one, seeing somebody that was kind of like we were basically kind of the same type of person, and this person quit the fitness industry, made some changes, and all of a sudden, like what had felt like 5 minutes for me, I look up and they're like a whole different person. And I was like, whoa, they're a completely different person, and I'm like the same. Like, what have they been doing in the time frame that I have been doing nothing, basically? And then I went to a conference, and then all of a sudden, like, there started to be this momentum, and I just started to realize the only difference between, you could think you're going to do great things or not. You could say you're going to do this thing, you're not. You could say, it's all based upon what are you doing to actually change. And that's, if I trace it far back enough, that's where the title of this book came from, because I convinced myself, man, I want to do this thing, but like changing my friend group is probably going to be hard. Changing my weekend habits is going to be hard. Honestly, changing my morning routine, my evening routine, what I'm listening to, what I'm watching, how fantasy football, how much football I watch on Sunday, all of that is going to be uncomfortable. But then I kind of had this, there wasn't one moment, but I did have this aha moment of, dude, you're already uncomfortable now. You're uncomfortable every day saying that you're going to make this change, and you're not. Every day you drive to Monday and you sit in your car and spend like 12 minutes just watching the clock tick until you have to walk in. That's also really uncomfortable. And it was at that moment where I was like, whoa, if I have uncomfortable right now in my life, but that's also going to be uncomfortable, well, that one's going to come with, I'm sure, something better or some new opportunities, some changes. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, I get it. I'm uncomfortable already. Either way, choose your path.
It's super interesting. I remember the like early, towards the end of college, when I kind of started to get into, I'd say I had this like personal development era, and one of the biggest themes and lessons that stuck with me was get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I was like, there's all these things that, you go into the YouTube rabbit holes that people say, and that was just one thing that like stuck. I'm like, damn, get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's actually the first thing I thought of when I saw the name of your book. And that's like, it's such a, man, that concept is so interesting, because to your point, I feel like oftentimes people psych themselves out that, they have this, I don't know, goal, this thing that they want to achieve. And oftentimes it's just self-limiting belief that's going to hold them back. But the state that they're in is also this level of like, it's eating at them, right? And they're like, they're not happy. They're not fulfilled with what's going on. And like, to your point, if either way you're going to be struggling with it, then why not choose the route that's probably going to yield better results, right? Yes. So I understand how this kind of like this person kind of influenced this. I guess for you, right, as somebody who's maybe dialed in on this, focused in on this, you still, I'm sure on a daily basis, have those same type of decision-making points where like you want to do something, I don't know, eats at you. And one thing I love about you is you're super transparent. Online, you post things like you're going through this, you have this doubt in your mind, but you end up doing it anyway. Like, what for someone like you is maybe more seasoned in navigating these type of things? How do you, I'm sure you can verify you still go through these on a daily basis, and B, like how do you navigate it on a practical level, like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, the best part about writing a book that you personally like yourself and also you get to test it is that now that the book is out and it's like in my hand and I'm constantly flipping through it, talking on shows, I'm literally almost running it through the gambit on myself again to
That's
basically be
good.
like, this is great. This does work because here I am again, uncomfortable either way. I don't want to send these things out, or I don't want to promote it, or I don't want, whatever it may be. And it's like, no, dude, it's the uncomfortable part is that nobody knows about your book. It's not gonna be able to help anybody. Get your face on the screen and go talk about the book. Like you have to do that. Or there was something the other day. Like a Monday. Like there's a part of the book that I talk about. One of the biggest pillars that I learned from fitness was never miss a Monday. And it was this, it's this workout pillar that it's for a lot of people. It's like, oh, that's really cute, man. Like, oh, they never miss a Monday, cool. But for me, yes, it may be cute, but it's also been one of the anchors in my life that I would put it all, if not most, of the reasons why I've been able to stay quote unquote fit for so long is because I've never had that, like, oh, I dropped off for a month. Oh, I dropped off for like a quarter. Because every Monday it's a chance to get back on the page. And like that little Monday that is cute for somebody else has been massively effective for me.
Yeah.
So the other day we were traveling and I forget what happened in the morning. Oh, I was waking up because I had a speaking event and I had to wake up early and I was going to change slides. Thought it was going to take me 10 minutes. It took me like 2 hours to transfer these slides over. No workout, plane in New York. It's 10 p.m. And here I am like on my floor about to be like, I have to bang out push-ups. Like I can't put this book out with this thing, chapter 9, whatever it is, and like not do the thing. So it's been great for me to not only hold me accountable still, because I'm always looking for ways to hold me accountable, but it's been great to kind of put these processes in and even the uncomfortable truths. Like, there's one uncomfortable truth in there that, is you've gotten way too comfortable losing. And losing is going to happen. Failure is going to happen. You're going to hit a challenge and you're going to, hear a no, or you're going to, whatever, get turned down. But you can't get too comfortable losing, right?
Yeah.
You can't get too comfortable pushing something off. You can't get too comfortable saying one thing, doing another thing. And like that has also been a great thing because like, hey, it works. And this book will work if you are willing to be brutally honest with yourself. There are some call outs in here and it's probably going to rub some people, I'm blunt, right? I'm like straight at you. And my tagline is always tough love with a hug at the end. Like you're going to know that I care because there's so much, hopefully, love in that book too. But at the same point, like if you are looking for the easy way out or like you are just dead set on keeping your excuses, this book is probably not for you. But if you're looking to be like, how can I grow? How can I get better? Or, hey, I've been saying this and I know I've been saying this and I'm really looking to like, how do I get on the other side of this momentum? This book's going to be perfect for you.
It's interesting, the never miss a Monday concept. I think that that as like a pillar, so to speak, for your life has, I have to imagine is, you strike me as like a very like disciplined individual, right? And to me, discipline is, you do the shit that you have to do even when you don't want to do it, and that discipline drives the consistency. So, for someone like you have this type of pillar. I guess that like how has that theme, I guess, of like the whether it's the never miss a Monday theme or the discipline and kind of consistency concept, like how has that sort of impacted you and your journey? Is that something that like you said, you've been fit for a very long time, right? Did you ever go through these cycles of like you really fell off the discipline and consistency curve? And obviously you had your fun with your boys, maybe drinking more than you should have, but did you ever kind of go off and had to get yourself back on or no?
Yeah, 100%. So funny enough is I would say that my superpower is consistency, where I've never really been the biggest, fastest, strongest, smartest in any kind of category, but I have always felt like I can out-consistent somebody. And in fitness, when me and the other trainers were all competing on like something, it'd be like, dude, you're gonna miss a day at some point, and I'm not. Like, or just you're gonna fall off, and I'm not. Like, it's just that's how I'm gonna win. And we weren't really trying to beat each other, but you get what I'm saying. Because funny enough, there have been times, obviously, where I've considered myself a disciplined person, and right now I do consider myself a disciplined person. But overall, I would actually say that I am not highly disciplined. But what I figured out from my 20s to now being 38 is I figured out I don't even want to call them hacks because it sounds like too cheap. I figured out the frameworks to allow other things to impact your discipline, which will impact your outcomes. One of those is environment. And I am all in on the idea that your environment will either encourage you to succeed or tempt you to fail.
100%.
And that is not just your friend circle environment. I'm talking, what is your living room set up to be? Where's your office? Is there good energy in there? Like walking into the studio. I mean, I already knew this was going to be great. I'm like, dude, this is an epic location. I love it. The setup, like the table, it's going to be awesome. And that immediately sets us up. We're going to do something great here. That is where discipline can go one way or the other. And I think a lot of people want to be disciplined, or maybe even have all the potential to be disciplined, but their environment is just constantly tempting them to cave and tempting them to fail. So that is one of those areas. The other things that I try to do for myself is I try to give myself multiple ways to win. And again, like, so I'm not in the fitness space anymore, but like, I kind of feel like I'll always be, because so many of the analogies and stuff that I use are from there, because I think they're universal. But one of those is, I hate when somebody says I'm going to do 7 days a week of something, because it really gives you one opportunity to win. I've always followed like 5-day-a-week workout plans. And the reason why is because it gives me multiple ways to win. I'm going to hit a Monday. That's non-negotiable. But now what if there's a travel day? What if I wake up and not feel that good? What if my body's really sore? It just gives me multiple ways. I can miss a Tuesday, and guess what? There's still an opportunity to win. Having, putting things in place that keep me accountable, but at the same time, I love external accountability. I want everybody, and I want myself to also be a high agency person, meaning I want to be able to keep myself accountable. But for the things that I know that I'm really good at talking myself out of, or the things that Brett doesn't like to do, I also need multiple layers of external accountability. I need, my assistant checking in and telling me exactly when the deadline is. I need to promise somebody through an email that you're going to have it on this day. Like, all of those things sound kind of crazy, but to me, they are all super effective. They are what gets me to do the things that I don't want to do. Because everybody says discipline, they can be disciplined in the areas that you want to be. Like, if you love, I don't know, we'll go back to fantasy. If somebody loves fantasy football, like, they're never going to miss a waiver wire. Like, they just are going to do the things that they want to do. But where does that show up in the ways that we don't want to do? And I also think confidence is the same way. If, I hate the question of like asking a group of people, like, who here would consider themselves confident? Who would consider themselves not? Because the crazy thing is that the confident people are confident that they're confident. Everybody who said I'm not confident, guess what? You're confident that you're not confident. So, like, weirdly enough, you're all the same. You're just putting your belief in one area versus the other. So, and the person who thinks they're confident is thinking of the area where they have put a lot of reps in, a lot of time and a lot of energy, and that they're really good at. The person who's like, I don't think I'm that confident. Maybe you're looking at a public speaker and being like, I'm not public. I would never want to do that. But what about the job that you've done for 8 years? What about, if I were to ask you how to get to, can you tell me how to get to your address? Like, sure, you can probably tell me. So we're all confident, we're all not confident. I also believe we're disciplined and we're not disciplined, but some people just set themselves up and are constantly tempting themselves to break that promise.
It's almost like people put the pressure on themselves basically to like kind of like put themselves in a box or like put this like label or so on to them. And at the end of the day, it's, you can kind of extract whatever you want out of yourself. It's just a matter of, I think ultimately it comes down to, knowing yourself and being aware of that, right? Like, even with what you're saying, you set up these kind of like things in your life to know that you're really good at talking yourself out of certain things, but you put these necessary things in place to like hold you accountable. Like, I guess talk me through that. Like, how, as far as like when you think of you yourself, the things you're great at, your zone of genius, the things that you're not as good at, and you need these kind of accountability checkpoints. How do you feel like you've gotten to the point where you are at that level of like clarity or awareness of, of the things that make you and the things that you're great at and not great at? Like, how have you learned that?
Some of it is external. Some of it is hiring a coach who can find the spots that, that I can't see, or working with a financial advisor that is like, hey, you're the expert here. I'm not. Let me just learn from you as much as possible. This is what I think. Is this true? Is this not true? I love learning from people who are better at me than anything. And I also get super inspired by people. I couldn't care less about, I don't know, like the opera. But if I turn on a clip and it's like America's Got Talent, there's an opera singer there, I'm like fascinated. I'm like, man, how did you learn that you had that voice and try that thing? And like, I can find inspiration anywhere because I feel like I'm always looking for it. So for me, learning about those parts of where I fall off, like for some people, like the 2-week mark, and for some people it's a 2-month mark. For anybody in January who starts something in January, for most people, they say it's like February, they call it like cliff day or something. It's like February 13th or something. Like already you're off the cliff, right?
Yeah.
So knowing that about yourself and not doing anything different is to me a huge like waste of the ability to know that. So checking in with yourself, and also how can we increase the accountability at that time? So for me, if I know something's coming up, and this kind of goes back to like off seasons versus push season. Like I knew a push season was coming up, and you know, there's a joke in like the new dad world that like as your wife gains weight, like all the new dad, like expecting dads, like also it's like proven that they gain like 15 pounds or something. And I was like, that's insane. Like that makes no sense. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I see it. Because my wife's like cravings are changing, and she's like, let's get gelato. And I'm like, yeah, of course, babe, whatever you want. Let's get this, of course, if you want. And the thing is like she will still normally ask those things, but it's very infrequent. And now all of a sudden it's like more frequent. I'm like, that's how it happens. I see. So how do I know that? So I started to see that, but also knowing that this like sprint of the book is coming up, and I'm going to be traveling, and I'm going to be speaking, and I'm going to be talking about it. I was like, okay, I'm okay. Well, we have a little bit of summer travel going on. I'm okay eating a little differently. I'm okay like checking the box with some workouts. And then once August hits, we're starting a new workout plan, we're locking in, and we're doing everything. And like even just 2 weeks in now, it's like a whole different switch has happened for me. And also a little bit of that kind of foot off the gas pedal a little bit was good mentally, because it just allowed me to enjoy the trips we're on, enjoy family, enjoy all that stuff, but not like completely let myself go. Yeah. But now at the same point, I'm feeling the right energy for this push season coming up. So long-winded way of saying you have to be self-aware is huge. And then also for a lot of people, like they don't check in with themselves nearly enough. If you feel like you're very highly disciplined and self-motivated, you maybe only need to check in once a quarter. Yeah. If you're not, or you're new to this game, check in as frequently as possible. And I think at the bare minimum, it should be weekly. What did the last week, like in my Sunday setup process that I do, that is in there for everybody. On Sunday, there like the third question there is review. And for me, that's I call that watching the game tape. Looking back at last week and picking out what did I do well, what did I not do well? Specifically, what was like the one, I'm gonna say play, but it's not a play. Like you just look back in your day and like, okay, Wednesday went to hell. What happened on Wednesday? But if I don't look back and I don't pinpoint, okay, well, maybe I slept in, maybe I did this, I skipped that meeting, I had way too many calls in the morning, and that just, now all of a sudden I felt like I was playing catch up all day. Okay, learn from that. Don't let next Wednesday come around with the same schedule, same plan, and like be in the same position when Wednesday night comes around and you feel unproductive. To me, like that is where you start to make like the incremental progress. And for a lot of people, they just don't check in enough. And if you check in every week and have this little glance in the rearview mirror, all of a sudden that's where momentum starts to build, because I'm not making, I may not be perfect, but at least I'm not making the same mistake over and over and over every week.
Yeah, it's I call it a review preview. So every Sunday, like I'll look back at the last week, and then I'll look at the next week. And I actually think though, now that you're saying some of these things, I probably could do it better, because your approach of like the intention is there of like identify what went well and what didn't go well. I feel like oftentimes you can have the right intention, but then the execution of it like could fall short if you're not as honest with yourself about it, or something like that. Like you talked about in the book, you have a lot of like brutal like call outs, right? So how, I guess for you, when you kind of do these check-ins with yourself and so on and so forth, like is it just a matter of really sticking to your guns of like trying to be as brutally honest with yourself as possible and not wavering off of that, even then you know kind of want to? Like I guess, how do you orchestrate your mind to like stick to that?
I think there's a growth process in that, because I used to be the guy, you know, I talked about like how I had all these big dreams and stuff, but like never did anything. Like I used to be the guy who used to sit and watch the video, or sit in the stands and watch the guy on stage. And just be like, man, this is so awesome. This guy's so great, but you're there and I'm here. Like you have no idea what it's like to be in this spot. And it would be a little demotivating, because they just felt untouchable, and like, you know, these giants that I would, you know, pay money to go see. It was great, but rarely would it like turn into this massive wave of action. And the reason why is because with repetition and trial and error, and I think kind of we've lost a little bit of this trial and error. And I don't know if it's this, I don't know if it's the like how easy life has gotten, and I don't mean that everybody's life is easy, but I mean we have apps on our phone that make life easy. We could stream everything in the world easy. Food can be delivered at any time. Like that part has gotten easy. So I think it's hindered a little bit of our tolerance for exploration and like figuring it out. But the reason why, like, I look at myself now, and I hope the coolest part of seeing people stay along with your journey is like, they're like, dude, this has been pretty cool to see like how many changes you've made throughout that. Like, it's cool to get that feedback too, because a lot of people just meeting me now I don't want them to look at me like the people in the stands used to look at the person on stage. Because first of all, I don't feel that way. And two, I still feel like I'm the guy who sat in the stands. But at the same point, I just have so much more data than somebody who maybe is just getting started or who hasn't tried enough. And what I mean by that data is knowing when you slip up, when you don't, when you need more discipline, when you don't, when it's just a phase, when it's becoming like part of you're in a rut. And the more data that you have, the more ability you have to start to learn about yourself. So you can, the mistakes that now somebody would say like, oh man, Brett made that mistake once and doesn't make it again. Old Brett used to make it 40 times and be like, I wonder why this isn't happening. Like, to next week will be better. And it's like, comes with some of the maturity. It comes with some of the growth. But also, if you just put in more repetitions with anything, and people always think time is going to change. They say, and this is probably this has been the biggest game changer for me, is switching from, in 6 months, I'm going to be in this place, or saying in a year. And there's nothing wrong with, long-term goals. Yeah. But instead, I will say, how many reps is it going to take me to get there in 6 months? And I'll start to play the action game rather than the time game. And what it does is it gives me control back. Because a lot of people are like, hey, I'm going to be there in 6 months, or Brett, how long will it take to get to fill in the blank? And my answer is, you're asking me to give you a time. I have 55 questions before I give you how long is it going to take, right? If we're like, you're from Jersey or New York?
No, I'm from Florida. North Florida.
Okay. But if somebody was like, Brett, how long is it going to take you to get to New York? Well, are we driving? Are we biking? Are we taking boat? Like, how are we getting there? That all dictates what's the answer I'm going to give you. It's no different with that. So for anybody else wanting to like shorten up this, like, Brett, how can I get about the reps and I get about all that, but how do I shorten it up? Start asking yourself that question. Hey, you want to get something better at that? How many reps until?
I love that. I was just thinking, I was having this like conversation with my brother, and we were talking about like, he had this goal and he set like this year goal. And I was like, I just kind of asked, I was like, what? Why can't you do that in 6 months? And he was like after some conversations, like, all right, I'm doing it in a quicker time period. But even that, I'm like, I just said 6 months because conceptually I was like, I feel like this goal can be achieved quicker. But if I thought of it of more of like, what is it actually going to take to get there? Like, what are the action items that are needed and what are the reps needed? The time could be a month. It could be 3 weeks. It's like the time is to your point, is not, that shouldn't be the guiding light. The guiding light should be what is the doing that actually needs to get done, right?
Be more curious. That would be my tell for somebody, is be more curious. My buddy Danny visited me in San Diego once, and we were sitting on the beach, and this conversation was so telling for just kind of the type of friendship we had, but it was also, it stuck with me, and like, how could I multiply that in other areas of my life? And he was sitting there and he was telling me he was getting into running, like long distance running, endurance running. And he was saying like, he just like runs this route all the time. And then like one day looked up the record for like the PR, who held the PR for like longest run through Arizona up in the hills and stuff. And I've just kind of prided myself on like, I'm never gonna Debbie doubt anybody. Like I will only hype you up, and then it's it's all up to you. Yeah. Like if somebody's asking me for my honest opinion, I will give that. But I'm never going to tell somebody they can't do something. Yeah. But what I loved about that, I was like, and he was like, so I looked up this record, and I actually felt like it was weirdly attainable. So like I'd have to run for, it was like 36 hours and it was like a big crazy thing. That's wild. And my first question could have easily been like, man, that sounds so hard. That sounds so this. But challenging myself, I was like, tell me more about that. What does that look like? How long would you have to train for that? And like, how much are you currently running? Okay, good. Do you like, what time frame would you want to break that record by? Do you want to do it this year or next year? And all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, we both were very convinced that this was doable. We're like, dude, you're not only going to break it, I don't even think it's going to be like, you could probably do that in a couple months. But we were so hyped for each other. But to me, that went from this thing of, I'll break this record one day. And instead, because of the curiosity questions that we continue to ask each other, and this is why having like a good brainstorming friend or a good hype friend is good, but also you could do that yourself. But to me, that takes out this vague timeline, and all of a sudden it puts in a very actionable, curiosity to it, but it puts in the action that's going to be required. And now you can work backwards and figure out a timeline that's manageable. Not everybody's going to be able to drop their whole life and go, attempt this PR. But what he started to be like, this is what I'm running now. It would probably take me here. I'd have to be in this sort of shape and this sort of endurance to be able to do that. So realistically, like he's like, maybe you're right. Maybe like I do need to give myself a year. Like, but all of a sudden we were so hyped. Like we were just so pumped. And I think it all started with, again, asking questions. So like, that's the way I approach people who have big goals. And it's like, honestly, dude, your goals are so hype. You're so pumped. I'm so pumped for you. I'm so pumped to go accomplish that thing. Why would I ever put my limiting beliefs onto you? And I think a lot of times when we share things with the wrong people or somebody who doesn't have what we want or doesn't think the way we want, somebody else's limiting beliefs becomes our lack of confidence.
Absolutely. I mean, it's why like I love my family to death. I love my mom to death. There's certain things, like certain ideas, certain things that I'm not gonna bring it to my mom until it's way later stage, because she's coming from a place of safety and love and care and the what ifs, and like I don't need that in my brain at a certain moment, right? I need it from like maybe the crazy at one point I needed a crazy optimist that's like firing me up about it. Then I want to go to like one of my good buddies who's like, a little more of a pessimist, but like logical, and we'll challenge it and kind of like getting that proper like dialogue. I think so. It's interesting, man. The over time, I've basically boiled down like my number one principle, like the first most important principle to me in life is this concept of belief, and like understanding the power of belief, and understanding that at the end of the day, all of our, basically all of our decisions are stemming from a point of like, do we believe we can do something, or do we have doubt, and do we believe we can? And I'm certain like you resonate with this so much, and I'm curious, like what would you say to the person that is like in this state of mind where maybe they're aspirational, they have things they want to accomplish, but they're not doing it, and whatever excuses might exist, but at the end of the day, they are letting more of that negative self-talk come into their brain than the positive, and it's causing them to just like not get there. Like what do you say to those type of people to help them like kind of get that breakthrough?
I want to start with a line that I heard in a Kobe Bryant interview, and then I understand Kobe Bryant is Kobe Bryant, and then we'll come down to like how we can do this as normal humans. But I remember this guy was interviewing Kobe Bryant once, and basically the guy was like, "Hey Kobe, you're asked to take the last shot so often. You're always put in that position. The team looks at you, the crowd looks at you, like you're always put in that shot. And when you're sitting on the bench and there's 5 seconds left and you're drawing up the play, do you ever imagine yourself missing that shot?" And he looked at that reporter as if this is the dumbest question he had ever seen in his entire life. I almost felt bad, your skin was crawling for the reporter. But Kobe looked at him like dead in the eye, didn't even blink, and said, "You're asking me if I miss a shot in my own head that I haven't even taken yet." He goes, "Why would I ever miss a shot that hasn't happened yet?" And it was so quick and so simple, but it just showed his way of thinking that it was unfathomable to miss a shot or have some sort of expectation that it wasn't going to go right. And that hit me hard. And I started to ask myself, where am I missing shots that I haven't even taken yet? And what good is that doing me? And I boiled that all down to this section that I eventually started calling Angel's Advocate. And we play devil's advocate so easily. Like the whole world, trust me, we all have friends, we have everything. Like, oh, well, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. I'm gonna be poor, sleep on the street, and I have no friends. It's like, hold on a second, maybe that's not so. I do think there's benefit to playing the devil's advocate and finding maybe the worst case scenario, because for a lot of people, the worst case scenario is this made up huge gigantic story in our head that if we actually boil it down, it's probably not as dramatic as we're making it seem. And most decisions we could figure out and get, reverse it and get back to a place where we're fine. But Angel's Advocate is this fun thing that I don't think we do very often. And when I started this started a lot when I started to first surround myself with hype friends and people that were also doing fun stuff. And instead of being like, man, that sounds really hard, or I know somebody and like it didn't work for them, or you know how much money that's going to take, like that is just negativity that you just honestly have to keep out. But the Angel's Advocate is this fun way of saying, what if it did work? And not just what if it did work. Instead of the like, why me? Why not you? What if you were the one? And I was talking to a girl who was talking about like nobody in her family has ever run a business. Nobody in their family has ever done this thing. And I literally looked at her and I said, what if everybody is waiting for one person in your family to pave the way? And it was almost like, it completely changed for her, and all these challenges, limiting beliefs, things, hurdles that were in her way now became this opportunity. And the only reason I said that is because people had said that to me at some point. But what if nobody's ever been an entrepreneur in your family and you need to be the one?
Yeah.
What if nobody has ever made $1 million in your family and like you're going to be the one? And now all of a sudden, everybody who comes after you, not even your family, your friend circle, your people, we talked about the entourage.
Yeah.
Like, what if all of a sudden you made it possible for people?
Yeah.
And part of the reason, like the whole book thing, and it's like, man, I remember sitting in the Arlington Public Library in Virginia, working on Friday nights when I traded my party nights for like working on my business, and looking around the library when I was, distracting myself and just looking at all the names on the spines of books and saying, there's no way that guy wrote a book on hammers, and that guy wrote a book on like skillets, and that guy wrote a book on like, juggling. Like everybody has written these ridiculous. Why not me?
Yeah.
There's no reason that is not inside of me. Is it going to be hard? Is it going to be uncomfortable? I'm not good at English. I'm not a fast reader. Like, yeah, this is going to be challenging, but it doesn't mean that I can't do it. And everybody needs somebody in their life to start to do that. So the two things is, one, you got to stop missing shots that you haven't taken in your own head. And two, have some more fun. And I say fun specifically, have more fun playing Angel's Advocate. Get like, drink some caffeine, start bouncing around, and start talking about how like the whole world's gonna change when you do this thing, and this is gonna happen, and that's gonna lead to this, and that's gonna lead to this. And like have somebody that's gonna hype you up. Yeah. And then go take step one. Like don't make it too big. It all starts with step one. The person that we're looking at all started with step one.
Wow, man, that was some good shit. It makes me think like I can see the you bring a lot of that hype fun into all that you do. And I'm curious, like, I feel like it's such a simple, it's actually something my wife taught me a lot of. I've always been a relatively serious person, and she's brought such this like lighthearted, like grounding kind of like aspect to me. Just brought it out of me more because, a lot of her core is just like, my goal here is to like have fun, right? And I'd been so like, specific, like driven with these specific goals and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, it's like, dude, if you're not having fun, then what the fuck's all this worth? So, like for you, that you talked about how you really kind of constructed around you with the people that you're around, your friends, and so on and so forth. I want to expand on that a little bit more, because I think when people think their environment and they think the influence of it, I think to some degree understand it and get it, but people don't, I think, get the layer deeper of, like you're saying, how the place that you're in, how you're, the cleanliness of your home, what you're reading online, what you're scrolling on, what you're listening to, what you're smelling, all this stuff. And that turning point is so critical. And I feel I've seen a lot of people get this aha when they start to get into these communities and circles and groups where it's like, wait, all 5 of you are like telling me, yeah, fucking go after this, like hyping me up, like, holy shit, like absolutely. Is that that type of, I guess, energy, like do you feel like you really had to kind of seek that and intentionally, say no to these certain, whether it's friends, whether it's environments, and really kind of put that intentional effort towards it to make it come to life? Because now it seems like it's basically a part of who you are, but how was that shift? Like, how did you get to that point?
Great question. And I think it's been two moments. One, I did always, and this is back to like being young, I did always have exciting energy, like for the right reason or for the wrong reason. And for a good stretch there, I was putting all of that energy into helping people have a great night.
The wrong direction.
Like we are gonna crush tonight. It's gonna be awesome. No, you're not leaving. Stay for one more. Like I was that
You're
guy.
that guy. I feel you.
And honestly, I got a lot of joy, and I got a lot of like, oh, Brett's coming out. It's going to be fun. Like, so that was a weird identity to kind of peel myself away from. But I remember being in a pool full of sweat one morning, like Sunday morning, was working out with, I might've been even like working out with a client or something, but I'm just like pouring like probably alcohol out of my face and sitting there and like wrestling with this, like, how do I detach myself from that identity? And it was this moment of, well, hold on a second, man. If you can inspire people to have a great night, well, what if I started to inspire people to have a great life or to have a great, something else? And like, what if I just funneled all that energy into something like that was way more impactful than just another drink and, less sleep? So that was when I started to realize that energy was currency. And when I stepped into high performance coaching, I was working with clients that made a heck of a lot more money than me, had way bigger like companies, way bigger aspirations. And what I started to realize is that, a client would bring me in to speak for a company, and then all of a sudden people would be reaching out and they wanted what I had. And I was kind of confused because I remember working with a client who owned this big financial firm, and he hired me, and one of his goals was like wanted to buy a private jet. And I'm living in like a 500 square foot apartment that I could barely afford. And I'm kind of like, are you sure like I'm the guy? You wanna work with me? Almost like doubting the fact that what do I possibly have that I could offer this guy? Yeah. But this guy was in his 40s. What he saw was a guy who was fit, a guy who was really good with strategy and accountability, and a guy that brought a hell of a good energy to the table. And that's what he wanted in exchange for, and what I wanted was like, your money. Like, I wanted like, you pay me and I'll do everything that you're willing to do. Yeah. But it was really helpful to work with those people, because that's when I started to realize energy is the most valuable currency. And guess what, guys? It's not just for Brett and it's not just for Sean. It is an energy that people want to get around. People will pay for it. People will go out of their way to make opportunities for you, because people want to be around good energy, whether they can identify it or not. Yeah. So that was the first time when I started to realize my business, the networking that I bring to the table, and I really appreciate the way you open this, because I wouldn't even say it is intentional, but it's not this thing I go out of my way for now. I think it's just my natural way of putting me in my own comfort zone of, what can I offer here for everybody, whether they're at our house or not? Great energy. Yeah. I'm never going to make somebody be like, oh man, that one guy, like it would have been more fun if he wasn't there. Like that's not going to be what anybody says about me. Even if I have to hype myself up or I'm having a bad day, whatever it is, if I've just always prided myself on kind of raising the energy level of the rooms that I walk in. And it's always worked out well. And guess what? You can start to raise the energy and end up having more energy, because it's like, I'm so glad I brought that energy. We all walked away good. The second thing is that like environment that you talked about is getting around people that don't think that that's weird. Because for a while, I think I thought I was a little over the top, and I was like, oh, am I crazy for dreaming so big? Like, or am I crazy then when I say like this is gonna happen, but I don't know how? And people would be like, well, that doesn't sound realistic. And then I would start to go to some conferences. I'd start to follow people. And like the best and worst part about social media is, to me, I actually think that that's most people's biggest telling environment right now, because it actually, you can curate it. I know the algorithm will feed you stuff, but you're also clicking on it, telling the algorithm, I want more of this. Absolutely. So there's an idea around like, how can you curate your algorithm to be better, right? How can it only spit me things? There's this one page that is so good, and I wish I knew it for all the men out there. I think it's called like Warriors Mentality. And it's basically, it starts off at some video, and the first 10 seconds of it are some nonsense. It's like a guy lighting this fire, and it's like you're waiting for this thing to explode, or it like hooks you in, and then like literally they switch to a picture of like David Goggins being like, you're a little bitch. You're wasting time again. And it like literally calls you out. And I found it and I was like, whoa, this is genius. Because yes, I'm watching something that has no impact on my life. This like bottle rocket is about to explode. Like they just hook you in, and then there's this guy that comes in, and it's not always David Goggins, but it's somebody calling you out for wasting time. And like, you think that whatever you're about to watch is going to change your life. And it's like, whoa, and I immediately get off, almost like somebody's watching me. But it's so impactful to realize, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you curating? And when you can get around people that also dream as big as you do, you will expand. I always talk about expanding your comfort zone instead of just getting out of it. But if you can expand your comfort zone and you get around other people that are thinking big, or that talk about, nobody talks about money. All of a sudden I started, this is helpful to be around my wife, but all of a sudden, like, we're talking about money at dinner, and everybody's just kind of laying their money thing out there. And like, nobody's embarrassed. Nobody's like trying to, posture. Everybody's just trying to help each other. And I'm like, whoa, this is so weird. I've never had a conversation like this. And then everybody's talking about what their body fat percentage is. And everybody's talking about like what their biggest dream is. And the rest of the people are like, oh, I bet you I could connect you to so-and-so. And I'm like, this is blowing my mind. This is so collaborative. There's no competition at this table. Why does it feel like everybody's competing at the bottom? And the more that you climb, it becomes more collaborative, because people realize how hard it is to get there. And they realize, if you're willing to put yourself out there, and you're willing to do something different, to change yourself, to change your family, to change the world, why would we not go out of our way to help you? Because there's no reason. We're not actually competing. There's plenty for all of us. Yeah. And that is the first change to get around. Get around people that don't feel like your success is taking away from them, because that's poison, and that's really difficult to grow in that environment.
you mentioned energy is currency. Like I wish, like I know people like listen and can watch this, but I wish people could feel the energy of this combo, because this is.
Are you sweating? Because I'm sweating.
Dude, I'm like, fuck, man, this guy's got me going. Dude, it is crazy. The like I really like when you think of energy is currency, right? I think of it in the sense of I think of resources a lot, and I think when people are striving for a monetary goal, I'm always like, that doesn't actually mean anything. Like if you blinked and there was an extra $100 million in your bank account, that in itself doesn't actually do anything. It's like, what do you do with a resource like that? Guess what? What else is a resource? Time is a major resource, right? Energy is in my opinion the most important resource. And the game almost then becomes, yes, if you're going for the money as a resource to use that, cool. But if something is just draining all of your energy and you don't have energy left over at, after 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever, like that isn't what life is about, right? It's about how do you really optimize around the energy and then use it as fuel and fire to like take it to the next level and do what you actually want to. And when you're talking about getting around, I remember when I first started getting around people that I felt like were dreaming bigger than me and so on and so forth, I had those same realizations of like, oh shit, they're talking about things that I've kind of always wanted to talk about, but like was a little esoteric and like kind of looked down upon. But now these people are talking about it so openly, and I'm like, damn, this is wild. This is like cool. This is invigorating, and you feel that you get the energy from people like that, and all you want to do is you want more of that. Yeah. Not only do you want more of it, but you also have feel this duty to like to pay that forward and to give that back, right? And it is, I think, especially when you need that extra push, the biggest thing for someone to do is take a fucking look at where is your energy going and who are you spending it with, and where the areas that it's going, where do you feel like it's draining and where is it invigorating? And wherever it's invigorating, double down. Wherever it's draining, fucking cut it out.
Energy inventory. Yes. You have to take energy inventory.
Yeah.
And you talk about checking in, like we should probably check in with that more often than we probably do. And it's hard because nobody wants to admit that their one friend that, they've had forever is draining.
Yeah.
Right? And it's either and where people feel bad is I don't want to disconnect from this person or I feel bad for this person, but I call it there's this bridge, and where we are right now is on the one side of the bridge. Where we know we need to go is on the other side of the bridge. And why I say build a bridge, not a wall, is because people always think, well, I'm going to set this wall and like tell all my friends to go F themselves and be like, I can't be around you anymore, and like your energy sucks, so I'm going here. But the reason why I say build a bridge is because there is no getting around the version of you that you want, the version of you that is going to accomplish the things. Like you have to be willing to cross the bridge. Now, the reason why I say build a bridge is I've always wanted to be that person that extends the hand. And again, if I can encourage and motivate, like guys, like we have to start making some changes. Let's go across the bridge. Not everybody's going to want to come. But if you decide that, I don't want to make these people feel uncomfortable, or I don't want to disrespect them, or I don't want to, go against what mom says, or I don't want to go against then you're going to be stuck on the other side of that bridge, and everything that you want is on the other side. Yeah. But you have to be willing to walk across the bridge. And the hardest, probably most uncomfortable truth that I can say is a lot of times you're going to have to walk across that bridge by yourself. And that is the difference between who you become and who you continue to stay.
Yeah. I'm thinking like your certainty and kind of again clarity on these things are so clear. And I'm thinking you said this mention earlier of like you had this one person who you saw went out of the fitness industry, and then a little bit later, and this kind of was like a spark and a fire. Like take me to another like I don't know what phase of your career that maybe it was, but take me to another, I don't know, time where you feel like it was this critical turning point and I don't know, really allowed you to get through this certain constraint that as you look back, you were like, damn, I was like not heading in the right direction there. Take me to like a point in time and what was kind of the difficult decision you had to navigate and go through.
It was an intimate relationship that I was in, and we had moved out to San Diego, and I was with somebody at the time, good person. We weren't good together. And
how old are you at the time?
I was 30, early 30s. So this was a few years back. And I was starting to make some decisions for like the business that I wanted. And because of that, you know, for anybody who's ever done their own thing in business, and this is where if you have business aspirations, you have to get around other business owners, because there's a lot of things that talking to 9-to-5 type of people can help with. Unless you come from a family or have done that and gone back, but like, it's really difficult to understand the next steps and the stepping stones for business compared to a 9-to-5. For 9-to-5, it's kind of like, I just keep doing what I'm doing, and eventually I've been here enough time, they'll give me another, you know, if I keep doing my job. But for business owners, there's so many pivots and backslides. It's almost like shoots and ladders. Like, oh, I'm growing. Oh shit, that didn't work. I'm growing. Let me take another path. And I remember doing that, where I was trying some things out, and like, you know, there were some successes, some not so good things. And I was trying some things, and I lost a client. And I remember like doubling down on like coaching. Like, I need to learn where these gaps are. And the partner at the time, like, I don't want to say they didn't believe in me, but they didn't understand the path that I was trying to create for myself. And they wanted us to have, they believed in the lifestyle that we were going to have, and they believed in like where we were going, but they didn't really want to come along for the ride. They didn't understand that like, yeah, we may have to, like, I may have to invest money here before I get it. I may have to, you know, put a big chunk of change here to be able to figure out the things that I'm missing to go grow the thing. And all they could see was like, you're not making a lot of money, and you're putting this money into this, and I don't understand it. And it was like a lot of like doubt. And that doubt, because it's the most important person in my life at the time, was causing doubt in me. And it got to the point where I started to really question, like, am I going to make it in this thing? Like, am I the right person? Because I was letting somebody else's feelings turn into my feelings. And that relationship ended up ending, and for multiple reasons. But then I remember like having kind of this come to moment of, am I going to make this thing work? And I had to double down back on the belief again. And, you know, funny enough, that was not too long after I had met my wife, Anne, or my now wife, Anne, but we started dating. And Anne was like, there were so many things I loved about her, but one thing was like relentless support. Like, I understand, go for it. You want to do this thing? Just hire that person. You want to do it? Like, let's go do, just so, because she understood. She had lived that entrepreneur life, that there was no doubt in like, yeah, that's the way you have to do it. You can't, like, it's not just going to happen over time. Like, you have to make the decision. You have to hire that person. You can't do 15 roles by yourself. Like, you got to put somebody in place. And all of a sudden, like, a little bit of me having now a chip on my shoulder and being like, when I finally was like, I'm committing to this, I'm doing this, it's going to be awesome. And then having that partner who's now supporting me and had my back. And for anybody out there, you know, whether you're single, whether you're with somebody, nobody will have a bigger influence over you other than yourself than your intimate partner. Your habits will start to look the same. Your beliefs will start to look the same. Your view on life will start to look the same. So like, why picking that partner is so impactful. Is because I believe that like your lives will become so aligned. Like, it's very difficult to like completely do separate things, right? Which is why like usually people have like a similar fitness level, a similar like monetary, like those kind of things. But anyway, that was like one of those times where I had to kind of put the pieces back together. I had to like dust myself off. I felt like I was starting over in my 30s, and I was like, man, I'm now single again. I'm across the country from all my friends. My business isn't doing that well. And this is like one of those moments where like, do I go back and get a job, or do I like make this thing work? And it was one of those huge pivotal decisions of, we're going to make it work. And like, I had that sitting by the ocean. I had that quick conversation with myself. And I said, if we're going to make this work, we are never going to question again, like, is this going to work? And like, if you decide right now, we go forward, there's no looking back. There's no like pivoting. There's no changing. Like, we're going. And I remember just being like, let's go. And it was like the doubling down belief. And I'm so glad I did, because like, it's a completely different world right now, but it's not always smooth. And that's why, like, if I could do anything, it's like, please be careful putting people on a pedestal, because I have put so many people on a pedestal just to eventually meet them and be like, wait a minute, this guy's human. Wait a minute, they're just like me. Like, yeah, maybe they have more money, maybe they drive a cooler car, maybe they're this, but like, they have life problems just like I do. Like, their dog is in the backyard tearing stuff up too. Like, they are the same as us. So I really like want to drill that down of, use people as inspiration, use people as guidance, hire coaches, do those things, but like, just don't put people on a pedestal. Nobody really belongs there. And you could convince yourself that everybody had it easier, had a shortcut, did some other thing than you. And that does nothing but take away all your power.
Yeah.
And it changes your situation, zero.
Yeah.
It doesn't change what they have and it doesn't change what you have. But if you convince yourself, hey, they worked their butt off for it, and like, am I willing to do the same? Then go make your change.
It's such a, my wife actually has she always says this. I think her mom like shared this with them growing up. Like, you are better than no one and no one is better than you. And, I think it's a beautiful little saying of like, doesn't matter if it's, the person who, if it's a homeless person on the street, right? They are a human. Or if it's a person who's a multi-billionaire, right? They are a human. And for us in any situation to like look at somebody and, either be like, I'm better than them, right? And that's not to say, look, you can be better than somebody in a sport and things like that, for sure, right? You can logically have more money than someone, right? But as far as like as a human, as an individual, and I think what was fascinating is I resonate a lot with this, where when I started going to these conferences and so on, I felt like early on, maybe I was like, it was just like admiration of like bigger than life. This person's like bigger than life. And then you meet some of these people and you're like, it's just another fucking person, right? And it's so it's so funny and so simple when at the end of the day, we are all humans, and the simple concept of like truly anything is really possible, right? And it always starts with like, it always starts back to, do you have the thought and belief that you can actually do it?
Yeah.
And if you don't, guess what? You won't get there. Yeah. Like very, very, very simple, right? And I actually, I want to come back to the relationship side, but I'm curious so you went out to San Diego, and we didn't even touch on this in the beginning, but real quick. So you were high performance coach. You take us through the career journey, like real quick.
Yeah. First 8 years, I went to school for exercise science, actually used that degree like very well. Came 8 years in fitness, all things gym, open gyms, started, fitness regional director, all those kind of things. And then started coaching, and like what started kind of as life coaching I was taking these same clients and the gym wouldn't let me do it. So I like sneakily met with these people in coffee shops and just started to look at the other, what I call them 23-hour sessions, the other 23 hours of our life. I know we're meeting for fitness. How do we handle the rest? And all of a sudden I started to connect dots, and I'd be like, oh, this is why you're so motivated for them. And then you fall off. And this is why so we started to look at time management. We started to look at schedule. We started to look at food habits, work stress, like all of that. And all of a sudden I just fell in love with the whole puzzle. And I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. And they would refer me to their friends and husbands and coworkers. And all of a sudden I was like, damn, people are coming to me for this like crazy. This is what I should supposed to be doing. And it's fun for me again. And then that kind of shifted to high performance coaching, just because clients started kind of like calling me that, weirdly enough. They're like, yeah, it's like life coaching, but we're talking a lot of business too. It's almost like you're performance coaching. And I think somebody was once like, if we call you a high performance coach, my company will pay for it. I was like, I'm a high performance coach. Like, sign me up.
Done.
Yeah. So that's kind of where that started. And then, I love that phrase because nothing has changed my life and impacted me from an optimization standpoint more than high performance. Where I have a love-hate with it is there's also been times in my life where nothing has made me question if I'm good enough, if I'm ever doing enough, if they're like there's always more to do than high performance. So I can see how some people love that phrase or hate that phrase. And for some people, they immediately identify. And for other people, they're doing a lot of the same things, but they just like, they don't like it because it just feels like this never-ending journey that they'll never carrot, they'll never chase. So then those clients, when I was a high performance coach, would bring me in to speak to their company. I didn't like know speaking was like an actual industry. I was just like, I'm a high performer. I'm here. I'm the coach. I'll talk to speak and like, we'll lead workshops and do all these things. And then all of a sudden, people started to kind of bring me in to speak more. And I was like, oh man, there's a whole industry here for speaking. And then when I started writing the book, and the last 2.5 years, I really started taking speaking kind of as my main thing. And I found I love it. It's awesome. I feel like there's some natural talent there. And now that I'm shifted my business to optimize that area, that's kind of where we are today.
Double down on that. Yeah. And that, I guess, today is like, what would you say is what's your goal with the business, with your career, things like that? Yeah.
So the book right now is getting it in the hands of as many people. I told you our goal is become a best-selling author, but why I want to be a best-selling author is because of the impact that means the book had, right? There's a tangible, if we sell this many books, if this many books get, like we all of a sudden can become a best-selling author. The second thing is I wanted the book to carve out first of all, it was great for me to put that sort of like IP, this like intellectual property on paper and prove like, hey, these are the things I stand for. These are frameworks that I believe in and that I know can help people. And weirdly enough, the speaking has really helped me become a better writer. And writing is a great filter for how to get clear on the things that I speak on. So weirdly enough, it's become this awesome cycle for me that I didn't expect, where, and I have a weekly newsletter. So like I'll test something out in the newsletter, test it out on social media, then I'll try it in my next talk, like a little piece of it. And if it goes well, then all of a sudden I'll write about it. And then all of a sudden it's like, if it went through all those filters, okay, now maybe it's important enough and I have enough like years of believing that, then all of a sudden maybe it belongs in the book. So like the book was like filtered out, like this needs to be the best stuff. But speaking is great because I get to try a bunch of stuff out and I like to keep it fresh. And also there's so much feedback. You know, I could drop something and like there's actually parts of my talk now and even parts of the book that like I threw in there as like a little bonus thing that I'll just say on top of this topic, and everybody was like, whoa, or like wrote it down or came up to me and talked to me afterwards about this thing. And I'm like, oh wow, they're really connecting with that. Or I didn't think that was gonna land, but everybody seems to associate with that. How do we,
let me double down on that.
Newsletter, back to talking, like, and back through the cycle,
Yeah.
and just realizing like, wow, that's the stuff, or that's the language that people resonate with, or a sticking point that, you know, maybe I'm thinking half the room's gonna feel, no, everybody's feeling that.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool. It's been a cool process to go through that. And my other goal is to really get this message out there. So speaking is a part where like in the last year, I have gotten paid more to speak than I ever have. And I've also done more free talks. And I feel like that's exactly kind of where I want to be. And I'm speaking when the energy exchange is right, when the audience is right, when I feel like my message can have an impact.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm, you know, giving up getting paid, but at the same point, like this message is so powerful for me. And, you know, like I said, someone who was like, hey man, we can buy some books. I'm like, deal. Like I love it. Like the idea of that. So that's really where I'm at. My business right now is twofold. And I still have some coaching clients, but for the most part, I've pulled back on that significantly to focus on the book, to focus on speaking. So
why is is the seeing this become a bestseller and seeing people utilize this, like what, I guess it might sound like a silly question, but like, why is that a goal? Like, is it a goal because of, is it to prove to yourself that this stuff is like, you know, can really resonate with people, or you've already kind of proved that out because you do the speaking thing, or like, what is it, just the aspect of hitting another goal? Like what, I guess take me a little deeper. Like, why is that a goal?
It's not just, hey, Brett, I bought the book. That doesn't do that much for me. I want to get to the point where people are like, Brett, this is where I was. I read this book and like this specific thing in there turned it all around for me. Like that's the goal of why I want this book. Or man, this book was so powerful and it called me out on this BS that I've been telling myself for years. And something about the way you framed it all of a sudden like resonated, and now I know what to do. So that's kind of where the goal of the book is it's not necessarily how many, you know, if somebody buys it and puts it on their shelf, that does nothing for me, right? It's like, great, $28, thanks. But at the same time, it's like, how do we get the word out there? And the only way you can impact more people, and that's why from personal training to coaching to speaking to the book, it's been, if you ask me like what my biggest goal is, like if it's impact, if I'm actually truthful about it being impact, the book is the best way to reach the most amount of people. That I wrote it once and it can impact the most amount of people. And then of course the speaking is like the tangible me in front of you, like, you know, get you going type of thing. But I wanted, you know, I could only, you know, I can't decide if I go and speak in front of your company and you're like, Brett was the best speaker in the world, and you go home and you get a flat tire. You're like, I'm already out of your mind. You know what I mean? Like there is a part of the book is something that somebody can go back to and reference. And it's also just been a part that getting all of that down on paper. Like to me, I am already proud of the book because it's physically here and we did it for 2 years. Like all the growth for me came in the process of creating the book. Now it's not about Brett anymore. It's all about everybody else. Like, how do I get this in the hands of people? And what I love about it is like, you know, just driving here and I was getting your book ready to give to you. And I was like, I'm going to take this book and put it in my trunk because like, how many times do I drive past somebody or in the store or see somebody? I'm like, I'm just going to give it to you.
Oh,
like,
cool.
Dude, you need this. Or I see something, we had a great conversation, take this book. Like now I feel like the book Santa Claus, but the idea of it is like, if that's really what my mission is, then I should be handing them out.
Was impact always been a guiding light for you?
Yeah, I've always believed in the line. It's cliche, but like more impact, will deliver more income. And every time that I've made decisions strictly for money, they've been terrible decisions because you chase a dollar or you make a decision for a dollar or you try to save it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with saving a dollar, but the amount of times I'm like, oh, I shouldn't hire that person. I'll do it myself. Like it just slows the process down. And when I've started to realize that the more impact you make, the more income you'll make. And also for, my wife explains this really well too, but she says, and I've kind of like figuring out my own money mindset and what does money mean to you. And actually we had somebody come to one of our retreats and explain there's like 5 money languages, the same way there's like love languages. There's also like 5 money languages, and it's really helpful. I'm not going to remember them off the top of my head, but my buddy Sean Howe came, and he's a financial advisor, talked about this, and it was great because everybody could identify, why do I actually want money? For some people, it is safety and security of like, hey, I can take care of my people. For somebody else, it's like, I have the power now. Nobody can tell me what to do. And so it's really helpful.
Yeah.
Google that, find it out. We'll put it in the show notes or whatever. I'll come more prepared next time. But that is really helpful because I have always felt like money for me was avoiding, being in control, and it gives me the power. And my dad passed away when I was 16. And for a lot of what I saw with money was stress. And it was, oh no, like, we have to have enough. Do we have enough? It was like that sort of situation, by watching my mom, like have to, like, now we have 2 kids in college, what's going to happen? And it just kind of, I grew up being like, man, that sucks, man. If we just have more money, like this would still suck, but we wouldn't be so stressed, and like she wouldn't be so stressed, and like, why is she working 2 jobs? Like, I just hated it. I hated all of that. So for a while, I just avoided everything about money because I didn't want to deal with it. And like all of a sudden, when I was like, Brett, you got to grow up and like start taking this seriously, I realized I can't have the same money mindset that I saw growing up. I have to change it if I want a different outcome. So all of a sudden, changing what money meant for me, and I realized, like, when people be like, yeah, income, but money is a reward for doing a really good job. And I started to realize, if I do a really good job, I get paid more. And if I really have a significant impact and I can solve an important problem, and like change for a lot of people is an important problem, overcoming fear is a very important, people will pay for that. And all of a sudden I started to realize, hey, okay, you not only have to be good at something, and I believe if you hate what you do and you're chasing money, like there are plenty of people who do that. I'm in no position to tell you what your money mindset story is and like how anybody grew up. So I won't even judge that, but I think it's just easier when I can wake up every day like super excited about what my calendar looks like. And if I do that, to me, that's already winning. And like the younger version of Brett thought success was, can I work from my laptop, and can I work with good people? Can I chase some good energy, and can I be in control of my calendar? And if I can do those things, to me, like that was already success. And having a second fridge full of like Capri Suns and like the cool drinks in your fridge. Anybody I ever knew, like if you went to somebody's house and they had a second fridge in their garage, and they'd be like, go get some drinks, and you'd open it up and it was just like sodas, beers, and like Capri Suns. I was like, they got it. Rich. They're the richest family I've ever seen because they have that second fridge. So that is what success looks like.
That's awesome, dude. I think it's I want to the one thing I want to come back to, I've mentioned like you and Ann are both like you guys are so, you wear your like life on your sleeve, I feel like, and the world of like content these days, everybody's putting out stuff, but like I can like see and understand what you guys share. Like I can feel the depth of it different than like many other people. And so I kind of want to expand on that a little bit. Like you're like, talk me through, I guess, the relationship and kind of when you think of like these goals and success and fulfillment for like you individually, and finding the right partner and the synergy of the right partner and what even the right partner truly means, like to you, right? It's like you guys are this power couple, right? Both like super aspirational, successful, and so on. What for you guys kind of coming together, like how do you kind of look at this, and how did you look at it in the beginning and determine like, I'm pretty confident this is going to be a successful relationship. Like we're going to be a great team.
Yeah. Well, early on, coming out of my previous relationship, the one thing that I didn't realize was so important to me that I realized was important to me was playfulness. Funny enough, of all the things, I just wanted somebody that was more like playful, that I realized like, I mean, as much as can be dedicated and locked in and
yeah.
serious and disciplined. I also like love to have fun.
Yeah.
I love to just play. I love to be immature sometimes.
Yeah.
I love to roll on the ground with the dog.
The silliness, yeah.
The silliness. Yeah, like to me, and that kind of reminds me of my dad. Like my dad was always the one on the floor playing with the nieces and nephews and the dogs and stuff. And like I think I just saw him, and he was like Uncle Billy to everybody, and like Uncle Billy was like, oh, Uncle Billy like brings the like is a big kid, like, and I think there's some of that I just have always really enjoyed. So there's part of that, and I felt like I lost a little bit of that because maybe I was stressed about my business, maybe the relationship didn't feel right. Like there was just a lot of things that I felt like I had lost some of that play. It was also during COVID. It could have been 100 different reasons. But when I found Anne the first thing that like got back in, all of a sudden I was like, there's a lot of play here. There's a lot of fun. Like for somebody that I see on paper that looks like she's very successful, is, you know, made money, made crazy impact. Like we just always were having fun. And not like, you know, The Bachelor where they're like riding horses and doing like crazy shit. Like we were having fun doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like that's where I knew that it was different. But what I shared recently, and we were talking about like last week, was when I first met her, I wasn't sure if everything, she was beautiful, she was athletic, she was fun, she was successful, all those things, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to be, if like put my ego aside and actually be with somebody who was way more successful than me and made a lot more money than I did at that, you know. She was selling her company, for those who don't know, she sold her company for 9 figures. Like it was a publicly out there. Everybody who knows, like Ann and Brett are together, it was like, oh, I know. I don't know how Brett's doing, but like I know what Ann is making. So there was like that piece of it too. And you know, looking back now, like we can joke and I can laugh and all that stuff, but like it took me a little while. And like there were times where I was like, oh, this is gonna be fine for me. And there were times like, I don't know if this is gonna be fine for me. And then there were times where like I really even struggled, like early into our marriage, of, you know, trying to act like everything was fine, doing everything fine, but like all of a sudden I felt myself like desperate for success because I was like, every decision has to be about money. Every decision has to be about business. And like my whole scoreboard was how successful is Brett and is my business growing the way I want it to? And I was starting to lose some of these other things of like where my self-worth is, where I keep it. And that was a struggle, and it took some like changes for me to have to go through that. But the reason why like I shared that the other day was I wanted everybody to think who, and I was like, there's probably somebody else out there who may look and be like, oh man, Brett's like the perfect guy, and he just like doesn't matter to him. And I was like, no, it did matter, but it took a lot of work for me to change. What does providing in my relationship look like? Because I grew up where, you know, both parents worked, but my dad made more. My dad was the provider, the protector, like all very typical male masculine roles. And when I got with Ann, it was almost like my whole business and life and like a lot of the decisions that I had made up until that point were because I was expecting to be the main provider and providing this life for my family and, you know, being the one that changed our, you know, monetary, all that stuff. And then I meet Ann and she checks all these boxes. But the one thing that like threw off my story was like, hold on a second, like she's made a ton of money. It like I had success in my mind, but like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be that successful. And also, it changed a little bit of like, well, what am I going after if like a lot of my driving force was I'm going to change the financial future of my family. And now all of a sudden that's like kind of changed a little bit. It's not that money doesn't matter, but it's just, it's not going to like impact our bottom line as much as I thought it was going to be the most important thing for us. So it did 2 things for me. One, it really forced me to understand what I bring to the table as a man in our relationship. And like my wife has been very understanding. We've like had great conversations, and like she was just talking about like for a lot of men, like maybe they take care of the finances. My wife is so smart with money. She is so good with finances. She knows where every penny is in like our life. And I'm kind of like, can you just keep doing that? Because like for me to take that over because I'm the man, like it just feels like you got a good handle on that. And she's also taught me so much about investing, and like she's just been so helpful in that. But then there's a lot of parts where like when it comes to like providing, like I will lock down the house every night and make sure that like we have the right alarm system and like that we're protected. And when we fly, like, you know, there's just like things that I will handle that will still allow me to feel like I'm protecting and providing. And like when we go anywhere, like I drive, and it's just those little things that I've kind of had to communicate. Like I don't think this is important, but like me driving kind of is important to me. Do you mind if I drive? And she's like, sure, I didn't know that. Sure, drive. Like, doesn't mean anything to her. So having those conversations really allowed us to get into her allowed to still be in her feminine and not have to like handle everything. And for me to still feel masculine and the energy of like, I'm still protecting and I'm still able to provide in different ways that may just be unorthodox compared to like the normal relationship. So we started sharing that a lot more because we realized it was actually at the retreat that you came to. And all of a sudden I think people were in the backyard and like one person asked the question about masculine, feminine, because there were a lot of, you know, high performing women there. And the next thing I know, like everybody at the retreat is sitting around this pool and we're all having this conversation. And it was when I started to realize here I am maybe not feeling so confident or wanting to share about that and feeling like, how's it going to come off? And like, I never want anybody to be, you know, like I never want anybody to be like, oh man, Brett had it, like got the shortcut, or Brett did this, or like Brett's only this because of this. Totally. Like that, I had to battle a little bit of that. And then you also have to realize, man, nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention. Like they can think what they want to think and it's not going to change. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just not going to matter. But that's when I started to realize when people were asking me questions from my side of the view, I was like, wow, people are really interested in this and they're finding it really helpful. Maybe I should actually start talking about this because maybe there's other men out there who could self-sabotage a great relationship like I almost did because their ego is just in the way and they're fucking up something that they don't need to mess up, you know? So that's where I started to share that. So it's been a journey and I don't want to act like, man, it was so perfect and Brett's just like so easily fitting into this. No, it took a lot of work for us, but that work I think has also, to answer your question, have allowed us to gain a lot of confidence in like, hey, we've already worked through a lot, weirdly enough, that I think it's made us stronger. Yeah, that's beautiful. I really appreciate the, again, like the vulnerability and the authenticity that you like possess with that, I think is super clear. And honestly is really like, I think is helpful for a lot of people. Right. And it's crazy how when you just fucking put ego aside, how like you just kind of strip things down. It's like, wait, this actually doesn't matter. Like, and it's like just this thing that's like prominent and is like, you can just decide. I mean, it's easier said than done, but to just be like, no. Like this is just the ego talking and this actually doesn't really matter. Yeah. You know, one things I noticed, you guys, like even at your house, it's such a, I remember asking you about it too. Even the design of it and everything is it's designed to host, be welcoming, be playful, like the volleyball court, all this stuff. It's designed, it's getting to know you better. It like reflects your personality. I'm sure hers as well, of like inviting and so on and so forth. And I think that is just, it's really badass. And I think it's really important. My wife and I, you know, try to do this a lot. We love the hosting and so on and so forth. And when we think of like houses and events and so on, like we love that because hosting and kind of giving to like our friends and family and loved ones is amazing, right? But when you can come with a partner, be a team and kind of tackle life in this like collaborative manner that like I see from an outside that you guys are doing, it's really inspiring and it's really cool. And I hope you guys know that it's, you know, whether somebody responds and says, hey, this is cool, or they don't, that I'm sure there's more people that are quietly nodding their head than you even recognize, you know? So just to put that out there, like I appreciate, I'm sure many other people appreciate you guys continue to do what you do. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. 100%, man. Dude, this has been fire. I was looking at the clock to see how long this has even been, but man, I have like learned so much from this. The energy has been exactly what I expected. I guess I'm just curious, is there anything else that like you're super passionate about that you want to, you know, kind of leave listeners or just leave me with, like just something that's always kind of top of mind or top of your tongue right now? Yeah, not, you know, other than, you know, sometimes when people see this, the title of the book, they probably will go to one area of their life, but I want people to ask, to me, great things come from, you know, you want better answers, ask better questions. And the uncomfortable either way for somebody might be relationship, right? And it's like, it's uncomfortable. I was on the phone with somebody and, you know, flat out was like, are you with the right person? And they're like, I don't think so. And I'm like, so if you're telling me that, it means you've already thought about it. Like, are you doing her service? Like, who are you doing this for now? But they're uncomfortable making the change because... But it's uncomfortable to let somebody that they love, but not the right person, down, right? And to go through the transition and have to move out and but like, man, do you understand that you're living this every day? It's all, don't confuse yourself that staying there is not uncomfortable, because it is. Same thing with money. I used to remember when people would talk about like investing, like what stock have you invested in? And I just like, please don't ask me, please don't ask me, please don't ask me. Like I have no knowledge of this and my skin is crawling and I'm sweating because I just don't know enough about
Yeah.
this. And that was really uncomfortable to sit there and be like, please, I hope nobody asks Brett, like, Brett, how much money do you have invested?
Yeah.
Or like, what stock do you like right now? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. But it was also uncomfortable to take courses on financial, stocks and investing and learning about that. But like now on the other side of it, like I actually, just a couple years removed, I had $0 invested at age 30. Like, so everybody out there who's like, I'm late, like you're probably okay. But that's also uncomfortable. So whatever that looks like in your life, ask yourself, am I already uncomfortable now? And I think if you can just get real with yourself of saying the answer to that is yes, all of a sudden that change that you're looking for, it looks a little bit more inviting. And I promise you it'll come. It's not going to be all smooth sailing, but it's going to come with rewards. It's going to come with confidence. It's going to come with experiences, stories, life opportunities. It's just going to come with a lot more. And the biggest one is it's going to avoid regret.
Yeah.
Because like we never sit around being like, I wish I would have, could have, like, I'm sorry. We always sit around saying, we never say like, man, I tried that thing and I, whatever, move on.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the what I tell people is like, you don't even have to be successful in the thing. If you try something and be like, oh, realize I hated that. Great. You never think about it again. Yeah. But if you just never try it, then all of a sudden it'll always 100%. Be there sitting there.
It's the question that you said early on that somebody asked you that kind of made you think of like, if you're 70, would you look back, kind of this regret question? And it is something that I think with a lot is like, if something keeps coming up in my mind and go to a future Sean self and I look back and ask what if, that's a signal to me that like, I have to do it. Like I have to try it or else I'm just not like, I don't want to be asking the what if questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys are what? The child's coming 5 months?
December. Yeah, we're right at 5 months. So we got like 4.5 left.
So I always ask this question. I'm really interested. Your future kid, there's a lot of lessons you've learned in life. There's a lot of important things. And what is maybe the most critical principle you feel will be important to teach your future kid?
For one, I want them to have belief in themselves. And we talked about that a lot. That's one of those things where I never want them, and my wife is so aligned with this, and we've probably had an unhealthy amount of conversations around like, we are not going to make it easy, like too easy, and this kid's just going to think the world's handed to them. We are very, dedicated to making this kid believe in themselves, meaning like, you can try it. You want to try it, go try it, and my wife, like what I love is like, we've committed, like we're not raising a boy, we're raising a man. And like, that means that, I want this kid to be tough. Like I think some of the best lessons and the best things that have ever been taught on me were the tough lessons. Now I don't want, you don't have to go through some of the hard things, hopefully, but at the same point, like toughness through sport, toughness through discipline, toughness through challenges, toughness through like prominent male figures that were not easy on me. I actually are the ones that like I mentioned in the back of the book. Like that's like the coaches that really pushed me to not just like, yeah, Brett, you're good, but like, are you leading? Are you leading the rest of your team? Like you're missing this opportunity. Those are the ones that I really remember. So it's the belief. And then, I want our, we really want our kid to try a lot of different things. I think we want it to be willing and curious. Really like go try a bunch of different things. And we want to try to set them up for success, not from a standpoint of, hey, we're going to leave you all this money and it's going to be great. But there's this line, I'm sure you've heard it, but hard times create strong men create easy times, easy times create weak men create hard times. And both my wife and I, my wife's dad, battled addiction, and their parents. Funny enough, both at 16, like her parents got divorced. I lost my dad. Like, I don't want to, I'm not going to sit here and like pity party. Oh man, Brett had it so hard. But I do believe that we became the people that we wanted to become because life wasn't super easy for us necessarily. And what I absolutely don't want to do is have a child or children and set them up because life was so easy that they become weak. Like that would be the ultimate failure as a parent for both of us, is if that's the case. So how do we create, like in an environment where we will have opportunity, we will have options, how do we create an environment for that child to still be able to build the resilience and the overcoming factors and like have tough moments maybe in life that build that resilience and the character, without necessarily having to like, send them to boarding
Yeah.
school and have them sleep on the street to just be, have some resilience in their life.
Well, dude, I'm sure you guys are going to make an absolutely amazing parents, and excited for this next chapter for you guys. And thank you so much for taking the time for this. Last thing, we got the book coming out soon. Where is the best place for people to follow the journey? If they want some of the Brett energy, reach out. Like, what's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so pretty much everything is Brett Eaton, BRETTEATON. It's BrettEaton.com. Brett Eaton _ on Instagram is where I hang out the most. The book is available on Amazon. It should arrive somewhere around 9/9, so it's coming quickly. If not out already, depending on when this comes out. But yeah, uncomfortable either way. Would love to support. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, I'm on Instagram all the time, LinkedIn a little bit, but just that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Love to chat. Love to hear what you think.
Badass. Awesome, brother. Appreciate your time. This was epic.
Thank you for having me, man. This was really fun.
Cheers.